If you are tired of passively existing and living life on default mode and you're ready to start creating work that you think is dope that others can find dope as well, then today's episode with James Victore was made for you. And also, I'm going to be giving away a free copy of his latest book, Effect Perfection. Stay tuned. The Perspective Podcast is fuel for your mind and creative grind. Each week, my guests and I provide the skills for thinking bigger, overcoming adversity, and making an impact with your work. Hey, what's going on? You're listening to episode 117 of the Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Scotty.D.Russell of Perspective Collective, and I'm here to help you build a killer side hustle and elevate your brand outside your day job. Now, today we have an extremely special guest who epitomizes everything I hope to accomplish and achieve in terms of empowering and encouraging my creative peers in this creative community, people like you. And I'm talking about no other than James Victore. He's an author, designer, artist who's kicking ass and taking names, ranging from Texas. And he's known for a lot of cool shit, all right? He's won an Emmy. He's been featured in the Museum of Modern Art multiple occasions. He's had his work shared all across the world. But what stands out most to me is his role he plays as a teacher. And I'm talking about how he teaches people like you and me to live bold and creative lives and making a living as a creative. And he does this through his latest podcast series called Dangerous Ideas. You can watch it over on YouTube and you can financially support it and back him over at Patreon. And latest thing he just put out was his book, like I mentioned, Effect Perfection. It is Dangerous Ideas on the Business of Life. I got this shit before you did. That's cool. He even signed it. Thank you, James. You're a sweetheart. And this just dropped yesterday. We'll talk briefly about this book too later on. And he's also going to be a keynote speaker at Crop Conference, which is a 2-day celebration design conference, and April 18th and 19th in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And they actually sponsored the podcast. So if you want to see people like James Victore speak, John Contino, Lauren Hom, jump on this ASAP. There's like 75 tickets left at the time I recorded this. And use promo code PIZZA at checkout, cropcons.com, to get entered in to win a free ticket to their future pop-up crop event later in the year. That also sells out too. So basically you're getting 2 tickets for the price of 1. You can't beat that. And today, James and I go deep into topics like having a dangerous idea to avoid being oatmeal, using pain, failure, and adversity as your biggest teachers in life, how your quality of life is based on your perspective and your attitude, as well as getting uncomfortable and not living life on default mode. All right, a lot of dope shit in this. And again, you can win a free book. All right, very, very simple how to do this. All you got to do is share your thoughts on this episode, take a screenshot of what you're listening to, or, play a video of you creating dope work with this episode going on in the background. Tag James and I over on Instagram, sharing your Instagram stories. That's all you got to do. I'm giving you till next Wednesday and when I announce the winner of this. So again, take a screenshot, tag both James and I on Instagram. That's all you got to do. And you can find the show notes of this episode at perspective-collective.com/117 with all the resources and information we talked to. It's all linked up there. And as always, keep an open mind and act on anything that inspires you today. Let's go. PC family, today I'm sitting here with James freaking Victore, and he's joining us today. I know he's had some rough last months of getting back from an injury. We don't have to talk about it. We can talk about that. But other than that, how you doing today? Thank you so much for your time.
I'm fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'm fucking awesome too.
As always.
I know we both have some things going on in our lives right now, but we respond to adversity, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, for those who don't,
just life.
Just keep on living. All right. I like that Matthew McConaughey style. But I know you're probably tired of doing this, but for just a brief Wikipedia page summary about yourself, for those who are in the listenership that don't know, that can get to know you real quick.
I think we always hate this question. Traditionally, I was a commercial designer, and I taught at the School of Visual Arts for 20 years in New York. And then I woke up one day and I said, I'm a pretty good designer, meaning I can get into the Museum of Modern Art and the Stedelijk Museum and the Louvre and museums around the world. But I realized that I'm a much better teacher. And I also realized that at the School of Visual Arts, I was teaching a third-year graphic design course, and I actually wasn't teaching graphic design because I don't know those things. I don't know, how to teach typography or how to teach color appreciation or how to teach those things. So my job was to, urge students how to think for themselves. And now I find myself being what I say now is I have become Moses for creative people.
Yeah, I saw that on your Instagram.
I try to help them become better and happier creatives.
How would you describe the work and then the message that you put into this world? Because I know you've been doing, James Victore Inc. You've been starting that for about 20 years with your own design firm, was it?
Well, it's been a lot longer than that. I started my own studio. I mean, I think I incorporated when I was, well, I didn't incorporate immediately, but I think I started when I was 21.
Yeah.
So
you've
it's
been
been a while.
one of the OGs in the game for sure. You've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and you have this loose style. It's unapologetic. It's aggressive, yet it's still full of love and respect. And I love the poster series that you did with my brothers over at Industry Print Shop. Like, what would you say your style is, and what is the message that you're trying to put into this world?
I don't know if I have a style. I've always kind of relegated myself to saying that I'm basically an abstract expressionist caught in a modernist's body. I've always respected this kind of the Swiss cleanliness. I think I'm a closet neat freak.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I respond to abstract expressionists artists like Cy Twombly and Julian Schnabel and Motherwell and Rauschenberg and Franz Klein. Oh my God! And as far as a message, it's always just been the best part of my process, whether it's working on something for myself or working on a client-based thing. The best part of my process is just me being able to sit down and say, and this is the strongest thing a designer can do, is sit down and say, what do I think? What do I think on this subject? What's my opinion? And then from then on, it's just trying to figure out how to get that out in 2 dimensions on ink on paper.
And a lot of the topics that are brought up here, people have a hard time distinguishing art and design. And I think artists.
Yeah, I think that's fucked up too. I think that's a clog in their personality. There's no difference.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's still self-expression. But what you just said, it's like, what do I think? But at the same time, you're strategically positioning it to how can others enjoy it or someone else get value from it.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious. I get that question a lot. It's like, Mr. Victori, but these pieces you made, these early pieces, like the Dead Indian or Racist. Yeah. Like these are self-authored, so they're more like art. And I'm like, oh, you're one of those people who gives a shit about that. See, I don't waste my time thinking about how artistic other people's work are or my work. It's just the things that I want to see out in the world. That's what I make.
Yeah, I think that's what we all need to take, a cue from that as well, and stop worrying about what other people say all the time.
I find that designers love rules.
Yeah.
And I'm outside of the, if you're one of those designers, you're not going to like, me or what I have to say. I'm kind of outside of that. I'm like, okay, that's nice.
Yeah. And the motto, I think I saw you on Instagram post this recently, but my motto I live by is, you can't make everyone happy. You are not pizza. And I spent my whole life trying to be pizza, and you can't fucking please everyone.
Pizza would be great. I say oatmeal.
Oh, let's go on, please. Tell me.
If the work is not coming from you and it doesn't have your opinion and your sense of sexuality, your sense of the macabre, your sense of your shyness,
the weirdness,
then what is it? What are you putting into your work? So, you're trying to make work that other people like.
Yeah.
And you end up making oatmeal because everybody likes oatmeal.
Yeah, somewhat. So it's safe. Tiptoeing the lines.
It's thoroughly digestible, and it's easy to clean up. I don't know.
I think, and that's so many people are worried about riding the fence and playing it safe. But when you have a dangerous idea, I know that's big for you. Everything is about dangerous ideas, and that's what your podcast series on YouTube is, and that's where you got raving fans over on Patreon supporting you. I honestly found you through people that I highly look up to and respect that are big into your work, like the industry print shop crew, like my friend Eric Friedenson. So I started digging more and more, and I really like the way you show up to the world and you help other people like me. You teach and educate. Yes, you're a designer, but you're a badass teacher and a coach.
Getting rid of the beans. So I cut you off. I apologize.
Oh,
what? Oh, you were praising me. Go, please.
No. What I really like is the dangerous ideas. If you can go a little bit deeper into what exactly is a dangerous idea and why artists and designers or any type of a creative should stop trying to play it safe.
Well, to take it a little bit further, Scott, is that I try to live a dangerous life. Because I think that the search for comfort and security that most Americans are involved in doesn't lead them to the places that they thought they were going to go, right? And, I have used that word in a number of different ways. I used it for the podcast that I have now is called Dangerous Ideas. It's actually the subtitle of my book as well, and it's called Dangerous Ideas on the Business of Life. And why they are dangerous ideas is because they're dangerous to your sense of self. They're dangerous to your comfort and security. They challenge your ego and your creativity. I was in a podcast situation recently, and I won't mention any names or anything, but the interviewer said, they had read the book and they said, that a lot of what you're asking in here is really hard. And I just felt like I didn't say it because I was being polite. But what I wanted to say was, well, that's because you're a lazy coward. Because you don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
That, unfortunately, when you say, oh, James, the things you ask are hard, that's your default.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's probably your response to everything that comes at you. Which is why you will never become bigger than you are. Will never have a bigger, better life. You will never, you will always be complaining.
That used to be
that comes out you was everything is hard. Yes, if you think about it like that, it's supposed to be. I don't do easy.
I love that. Yeah, most people do live in that default.
Dangerous life is very important to me.
Yeah. Well, outside of design and everything, what else do you do that's dangerous, that rattles the cage, that shakes up your existence outside of just being a designer and a creative, more than that?
Well, you bring up let's say a sore point. And something that I'm going to be talking about is the core of my I know you wanted to talk about crop in Baton Rouge, and so I'm speaking there, and I'll be speaking in Dublin and in Barcelona and London and a couple other places, and I think Seattle or Portland, I forget. But what do I do that's dangerous? I have always been a fan of motorized sports. Particularly dirt bikes and trials bikes. And I've got a dirt bike and I've got a trials bike, and I ride on my property. And before the end of last year, I was out for a ride on my trials bike, which is a goofy looking bike that has no seat. You don't sit down, and it basically allows you to, it's super light and super torquey. So it allows you to like climb and ride over things that you're not supposed to be able to climb and ride over.
Sure.
Long story short, I did something. I don't remember what. I blipped, I think, and it's an electric bike, so it doesn't have a clutch to pull in. So I think I just blipped and the bike threw me, and I don't even remember the accident, but I was climbing up out of a stream bed, up a rocky stream side, and I had nothing to catch on the way back, and I fell on my right side, smack dab in the middle of a rocky stream. And I don't know if I blacked out or not, but anyway, I kind of woke up just like out of the movies when people kind of just go like this. And I knew something was wrong. And then my first thought was I knew something wrong. Second thought, I was like, I don't have my phone on me. And there's nobody at the house. So I had to walk. I cradled my arm and I walked half a mile to the house to call my wife, call the EMT, blah, blah, blah. Long story short is I had 10 broken ribs and a broken collarbone and a partially separated lung. So it was like hard to, even breathe. And that is 10 weeks ago. And I'm going through, I love saying I'm in rehab. And I'm going through PT and fixing it, and still in, a lot of pain. And the reason I talk about it is because that may be a dangerous sport. It may be a dangerous way to live. And people say, well, what does your wife say? I'm like, I don't have that kind of wife.
Yeah.
My fucking wife doesn't tell me what she loves me. She loves it when I ride and when I do what I love. Don't give me that bullshit.
Probably a better person for doing it.
That default,
yeah,
right? The wife. And it's given me the opportunity to understand that pain is this pain is my teacher. And if I do not learn from it and do not become a bigger and better and stronger person from this process, then I'm an idiot. Then the accident was stupid and the pain is just hurt. And the reason I bring it up in a larger format is that we all I have not right now what I call my cruising pain, which is today it hurts like a motherfucker, but usually it's just like, it's always there. And it's, today is particularly heightened, but it's cruising pain. I can get around. I can get in the truck. I can go to, Home Depot. I can't carry anything, but I can get around. And so we all carry pain. Most people are like, well, I don't carry any pain. I'm like, yeah, you do.
Everyone does.
It's fear. It's your fear to ask for what you're worth. It's your fear you're in a relationship that chafes and you're afraid to have that conversation. It's your fear that it's this body that you wake up in. You're like, oh, how did this happen? It's the fear that, it's your default response that everything is hard. It's all these things. And unless I deal with this and go to PT and do the home exercises and not take the heavy ass opioids that I have stuck away in the closet, right? And stay off of that shit.
Yeah.
Face this thing. My life will become smaller. I will become bent. I will become less mobile, less flexible. And unless you deal with your own fears and pains, your life is going to become bent. You will be less flexible. Your life will get smaller and smaller every year, just like most people's, or like your grandparents or your parents. Where all of a sudden you're afraid when the phone rings. You're like, oh, who's this? I don't know who this is. Like, just fucking answer it. Who cares, right? It's not the Grim Reaper calling. You don't use
those overseas calls of the IRS is coming your way.
Yeah, right. It's so funny. My son, I've got two little kids, and I've got an 18-year-old, and I taught him years ago. He used to say, Dad, I'm in trouble. I used to say, are the IRA coming to kill you, son? He'd say, no. I said, well, then you're not in trouble.
Not a big deal.
So talk to me. It's one thing I was teaching when I was teaching in the School of Visual Arts. I'd give these crazy assignments, and I realized over the years that basically all of the assignments were answered by using perspective, because perspective is everything. It's like what
podcast,
what is big and what is small, what is important, what's not important. What is love and what is hate? All these kind of, it's like, and it's always your attitude towards these things that makes them so. So with the pain and the fear thing, again, it's the same thing. It's like what's your attitude towards it? It's gonna depict your character, who you are.
What do you think was the biggest learning lesson that you've plucked out of this experience? And then next, I'm big on fear. Everything that's terrified the fuck out of me growing up has all been the thing that's kind of nudged me towards the person I'm supposed to become. So what do you think is the biggest learning lesson that you got out of this this incident that you have? And then currently, what's the biggest thing that scares you? Because from my perspective, it's hard to see someone who's achieved so much that you're afraid of something.
The biggest thing it's taught me that it can teach me, that it can be. I have to do this. I don't really have a choice. Most people have a choice. They can just, turn a blind eye and get, have their lives be affected by it all the time. Not not change. I can't because, I've got a beautiful, sexy wife. I've got little kids. I want to be active. I want to ride. I want to ski. I want to, travel. I want to, and what's, I guess the biggest thing is that, that I can get through this. If you would have said, okay, James, here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow, you're going to be out doing what you love. And about 3/4 of the way through, we're going to destroy half your body. Okay. And I'm like, is there an option? Is there a B? Can I choose option B? I didn't have the thing. And it's funny because, again, attitude and perspective.
Yeah.
I'm in the ICU. I've got, I'm on 3 opioids and ketamine, and the pain is still.
That's
crazy.
like a horse tranquilizer.
Oh, fuck yeah. No, and it still didn't work. And they have there's a tube going down into my lung. And my wife tells me, she said, James, your heart needed to get bigger and your body needed to make way. And I'm like,
damn,
that's it. So this is the process now. This is how I grow.
Yeah. So,
and it's fine.
Yeah. Are you still?
And and the second part of the question is, what was it? What about what I fear?
What's the biggest thing that scares you right now? For me, it was just
today. It's like, oh my God, this sucks. And I'm like, well, is it working? Am I, getting better? Am I, that's something that, but I have to, I've gotten, when I was in the hospital, I wrote, when I was out of the hospital and in a rehab clinic, I wrote that, I wrote myself a little prayer, and I said, thank you for the pain I had today, and the less of it I'll have tomorrow. And thank you for the mobility I had today, and the more of it I'll have tomorrow. And thank you for this experience, and I hope I never have to fucking experience it again. So I have to learn to breathe through these things and understand, just like anybody else is like, I've just got canned. What do I do? Let me go drink and let me go complain. Why don't you just sit back and go, okay, I can do this. What's next? This is an opportunity. We the failure thing is huge, but just like fear, it's, you understand, it's just a great motivator. Again, it's just a perspective shift.
The biggest thing for me has always been that adversity is kind of that bridge that is taking you to the learning lesson. I say 90% of our populations has some type of adversity, and it fucks their life up.
Oh yeah.
It's that default setting, like you.
Oh yeah, no. One thing happens to you, and it completely changes the direction of your path. It completely changes who you are. But the other thing is, like, I was in the rehab clinic, and there was a young enough woman next to me, and they're making me go through these things with my arm, and I'm like, okay, let's do this, motherfucker. Like, and the woman over there, they're saying, well, can you do this thing? And she's like, no, I don't think so. I'm like, well, now you can't, because you just fucking told yourself that.
Mental.
Duh. What are you, crazy? We just would rather not face ourselves. It's just easier to become smaller. It's just easier to
believe the stories that we tell ourselves.
Yes,
exactly. I've believed so many stories my whole life.
Yes. And we identify that with that now.
Yeah.
We identify with how bent over we are, or how fat we are, or how uncomfortable we are, or how sad we are.
And you're like, you're in my head.
That's all right. That's like who I am now.
Identity, for sure.
Which is crazy. It's not. It's what you've told yourself. And unfortunately you tell yourself too many times, and it becomes a habit.
Yeah. Are you back on the bike now? Or
no, I can't even get,
yeah, true.
No, pro athletes take a year.
Shit.
And pro athletes are, 30, 25. I ain't 25.
I'm 30 and I'm not a fucking pro athlete, man. I've dealt with like herniated discs and all that stuff from football and heavy medication. I feel for you for sure. Having my back blown out.
That's just what I'm doing. It's all.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk. So I'm a binger of your Dangerous Ideas episode, and I'm big on serving. And I used to kind of be weirded out about it. People not take me seriously, or people make fun of me because I'm
Oh,
not
dude,
that
yeah.
badass designer, you know, and look at my clientele and this is that. I had this edge to me and I don't want to show this empathetic side to me. But
Yeah, right. It's crazy.
I know. And that's what this platform Perspective Podcast is on, is creative personal development. Then you can have the skills to unlock that success in your creative career. And I think it was episode 15. And you said that humans are at their best when they serve others. And
That's the highest role we have. Yes.
yes. And I'd love to hear you expand on this, because it sounds like you're in this new mental paradigm shift where you did the design, you did the creativity, you got all these accolades, but you're in like this new realm. And you've always done this, but now it seems like you're really enlightened on this new path.
I just, I realize what those other things have gotten me, and first of all, like you said, I'm in Texas, but I'm not in Austin. I'm in rural Texas, 35 miles outside Austin, 7 miles to the closest bar. And people say, well, what's that like? I'm like, well, it wasn't a career move. I didn't move here to make my career better. But what it's done for both myself and for my wife is that it's given us the opportunity, again, like pain, like anything else, a move. It's given us the opportunity to learn how to make a living based on our creativity. We're able to stand back and go, okay, if you think you're so fucking creative, what are you gonna do now? Here, I'm gonna hobble you this way. What are you gonna do now? And it's funny because I remember I was reading an article about this a vet guy who came back from Afghanistan, and he lost his legs, and he was doing just amazing work helping people. And somebody said, how is it that you can do so much without your legs? And his answer was, how can you do so little with yours?
Perspective.
So I've realized that I've had a really nice career. I've fought my ass off for creativity. Money was never the objective, which is totally un-American, I know. But money was never the objective. I made decisions based on creativity and love and family. And I realized that if I was literally a commercial designer right now, I would be less of a person than I am now, because I'd be still in that situation where you're in the losing end of compromise most of the time, where you're in the back of your mind, you're supposed to be making work that makes other people happy, instead of yourself, And I think a lot of people are in that field. And when I say these things, they become terribly resistant, of course, because that's the default. But I've realized that when I challenge myself and when I put myself in these situations, again, living dangerously, hey, James, why don't you just move to, small town Texas and try to make a living as an international designer and, continue your world domination from, a ranch. But you know what? With the right attitude and with the right perspective, you can't stop me.
Shit. Love it. That's going to be the intro little nugget that people hear the first thing when they get queued off in this episode to fire them up. So
I just wrote my publisher with a list of like 5 to 7 new things, and they wrote back and they were like, oh, goody, because they didn't ask for it. They didn't ask for those things. This fucking book isn't even out, and I'm already hot and horny on the next thing. I'm like, and halfway through writing the next book, people don't ask me for creative workshops. People don't ask me for, hey, James, when's a new silk screen limited edition print coming out? You got to understand that, people don't come looking for you for that. That comes from you. And that comes from, how much do you want it? Again, it's the default that says, oh, it's hard. Okay. For you, it's going to be very hard, but how much do you want it?
And so many people are looking for permission to do these things.
Oh,
like I run a day job. I come from a small part of Iowa. Nobody's telling me permission to do this podcast, to do freelance, to do my creative coaching program. Nobody gives me permission to do this shit. I'm in the trenches making this happen outside of it, speaking with people like you.
Beautiful.
A lunch break in a fucking day.
Beautiful. And, the thing is, in the back of your mind, other people who are listening in have to understand that in the back of my mind, in the back of your mind, what's going on when you're doing these things and when you're taking that permission, the back of your mind is going, all these critics, all these voices, these people you look up to going, who do you think you are?
Oh man, I get it all the time.
No, it's
and
crazy.
I'm sure you get it on a whole nother. How do you deal with a hater? I saw you had a brilliant response the other day to someone who left something to your book review. And it's for everyone. It's for the person it's meant for.
It's fine.
Who needed it?
Fine. It's what the best way I have to deal with it is I show it to my wife and she's like, James, it's okay. Because it first of all, we have to understand that it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
It has nothing. I'm walking down the street and somebody says, and it's funny because what happens is when you deal with haters, what happens is all of a sudden you're in that mode now.
You're giving them the power.
What happens is you're giving them the power, but all of a sudden you're just reacting. And when I was in New York, I was hanging out with this amazing guy, a friend of mine, a pal of mine, my chairman at SVA, Richard Wild, guru of gurus, and we're having lunch at this wildly expensive Gramercy Tavern, and the conversation was about how we are puppets. We are puppets to our thoughts.
Yeah.
So if someone comes and says, has a thing, all of a sudden you're like, wait, what? Oh yeah, and it's all of a sudden you're like, you're a puppet. You're not even in control anymore. It's a huge idea. It's a huge idea to understand, and you can only deal with it when you thoroughly know yourself and when you're confident and you're like, okay, this doesn't have anything to do with me. That thing that I posted, I thought was more funny than anything. And when I come up with a witty, not only a witty rejoinder, but there
was value baked into it,
a teaching point.
Yeah.
Then I'll post it.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
I don't want to deal with the haters, and I'm the book hasn't come out yet, and Scotty, I live in fear that someone's not going to like it, but someone's not going to like it.
But at the same time, someone's going to love it, and it was meant exactly for them, which is like the powerful part. My mind has to remind me when I get that nasty review.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what my hope and prayer is some mom is going to like it and she's going to hand it off to her 12-year-old and it's going to set them on fire. That would be awesome.
That's dope.
That would be, because I think if I made a mistake with this book, I should have actually made it as a young adult thing, because I think the ramifications for that entry level is huge.
And although the title will get them.
The title would be it's
sparked my attention on that millennial age. I'm like, fake perfection.
Potty humor works all the time. But I think it works for college kids. I think I've already heard from 56-year-old mid-career people that my mother, who is early 80s, I sent one to her and she said, I wish I would have read this when I was much younger. There's such good advice in it. And I'm like, damn, awesome.
So just pivot real quick in talking fuck perfection. That's fun to say. I really want to just say fuck perfection at the same time. But
worst title.
I don't know, man. I don't think so.
Again, that's what I do. I'm willing to go there. That's a dangerous idea. I am willing to go there.
Super dangerous. I love it.
Title because you can't say it and you can't spell it. But in a bookstore, you're going to see that thing in the bookstore and you're going to go,
someone's going to think they're dyslexic. And
is that English? What is that? And then there's a schmooch across the cover and it's just like, what?
Dangerous indeed. So we'll talk briefly about it as this episode comes out. Your book, Effect Perfection. Can't wait for my copy to get in. As this episode comes out, your book just dropped yesterday.
You don't have one? Dude, you haven't got one?
No, I sent you. You're busy. You're busy. You're good.
I thought the publisher was going to send one.
I can
thought
be patient. I'm
okay.
patient
Okay.
Patty.
I'll get, well, they don't come from here. They come from the publisher. So I'll get on that.
Totally good. I'll bring it and get that John Hancock over at Crop. But,
there you go.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll briefly touch on this because you've been blasted it everywhere too. I don't need to pound the same drum that everybody else has, but real quick, what's it about and who's it for?
I was in an interview 2 weeks ago and the guy said, what was your target audience? And I said, oh, no. You think I'm the fucking type of guy who thinks about target audience? I'm the target audience.
It's made for you.
I wrote this book for me. This is everything that I use to get out of bed in the morning. This is everything I use daily, monthly to teach to people who come to me and to use in my own life that I can, try to live a happier, more creative life. That's the audience. What I have found throughout my career, and even when I was, 20 and 19, I was working in a ski shop and making little doodles on Post-it notes and leaving them around, like little punky, leaving them. And people, I know for a fact that people have took them and they have them framed in their houses still. So I know that when I allow myself to play, it has meaning to other people. So for me, that was the process of like, I made this book for me and I'm going to try to play as much as possible, because in the particular lies the universal. The more authentic and the more vulnerable and the more truthful I can be in this process, the more meaning it will have to you, and the more you will be able to see yourself in it.
Yeah.
So that's the process, and that's who the book is for.
I think it's perfect.
And like I said, I hope it speaks to other people.
I think it's perfect because the content I create is for that lost soul. I was fucking lost, depressed, hella anxiety 5-6 years ago, a couple years out of college, and I create content for that lost soul. And it just happens to resonate with other people who are lost in the same spot. I
mean, if you were a dancer, you go out on stage and you dance for yourself. You dance. This is my gift. I'm going to do it as well as I can and make myself happy. And in that process, I hope that there's a gift for others.
Awesome.
That's all.
So this book is play.
I mean, serious play.
Serious play. Dangerous.
I want, if someone, I know that people will read it and it's like, they'll say, oh, it was a quick read. I read it in 2 hours and now I'm done. And we'll get nothing from it. And that's fine. But I also put enough in there that if you chose a point, 5 points from it, and applied this to your life, I know that change will happen. I know that it'd be an attitude adjustment. I know that this book is it should be funny. It should say on a sticker on the front of the book, like if you buy it in the store, you pay for it, and then you walk away, and the girl at the counter, the guy at the counter is supposed to take the book and bonk you on the head with it, right? It's like a thwack upside the head. But yeah, so it's totally, there's an attitude adjustment if you're willing to listen. I wrote yesterday that it's Think and Grow Rich with pictures.
Perfect.
Because Think and Grow Rich is a seminal, it's a self-help business book, but it was amazing. And to myself and a lot of my friends, it's like we still live by some of the things in it.
I'm big on law of attraction.
Yes,
that's very big. Yeah. Putting intention, universe, all that. That's
the whole thing about not having sex. I
don't know about that part. I just had a kid, so we're good.
So I'm hoping that people will see it in that vein. And also, it's pretty. There's like, I made a bunch of art, a bunch of new stuff in it.
We're going to be plugging it for sure. So there's going to be a lot of listeners that are attending Crop, and Crop is sponsoring this right now. Are you going to have the book for sale there?
Yeah.
There'll be a table. Okay.
Yeah, there'll be a limited number, but there'll be a book for sale, and I'm teaming up with you mentioned Tony and the guys at Industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
A family of mine here in Austin, and I'm teaming up with them, and I'll be at their table, and they're making some special little effect perfection product.
All right. Listeners of the show will be hawking all over that, but I get first in line. So
Cool.
hell yeah. Okay. Before we go into rapid fire questions, I got some fun little quirky things at the end just to kind of lighten the mood real quick. But this is always the one that hits home most for people, especially me when I hear these answers from people. But what's one piece of advice you give to your past self when you were just starting off?
It's funny. It's in the book.
You can give a small spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Tell them which page to go to.
I'll read it.
All right.
Let me see. It's towards the end. Oh yeah. It's a younger me, and there's the younger me.
So you always had that handlebar, huh?
Yeah. You got time? I'll read it.
Yeah, dude, I'm in no rush.
Yeah. It's number 70. I call it chapter, but it's number 76. I said, a few years ago, a colleague asked me to pen a short message to his son on the occasion of his 21st birthday. It was to be part of a collection of advice from his dad's friends, a thoughtful gift to help prepare the boy for the future. What could I add to this guide that would have meaning and provide comfort? Since the best gifts are the ones we want for ourselves, I only needed to ask what I would say to my own younger self upon entering adulthood. What could have eased my own way and calmed the path? For both myself and my friend's son, relax was my only thought. I tend to turn life and work into a sausage-making race, grinding everything through a small sphincter and trying to control the outcome. But control is a myth, and as much as I try, life refuses to be wrangled. And trying to wrangle it ends up with me fighting myself. Relax and trust the process. Trust the stars and trust yourself. Let everything happen to you in its course, then take a deep breath and relax. So that would be my advice.
Dope.
Not as much rapid fire as you wanted, but
hey, that's cool. I was actually going to ask that earlier, but that's not the rapid fire. Now we're going into the rapid fire, okay. And maybe I'll have to tweak this one.
I suck at this, but go on.
Dude, it's just a fun way of the segment. If we go on a 5-minute tangent, because usually I go on tangents, you're good. If you were on death row, we might have to tweak this one. If you were on death row, what would your last slice of pizza be? Or if you were on death row, how would you make the best, dopest, raddest oatmeal in the world?
Oh, they're both good. I can actually think of ways to make amazing oatmeal, but the pizza thing would be, yeah. It would probably be like, definitely like, broccoli and sausage. Cause I'm like, I like vegetables on my pizza or a super Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Love pineapple and ham on it.
Some people get so worked up about that shit. Like that's not for me.
Rules.
No, it's like
pizza has rules.
Let people enjoy things. Things.
Pizza has rules.
I'm gonna have to take like a screenshot of that one and post it on Instagram for you. Beautiful. Dang, who does your eyebrows, man?
Do I have time?
Oh shit! Yeah, I'm rapid fire. I'm going off my own things. Okay, if you could have lunch with one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
What comes up quick is Joseph Campbell.
Okay.
Hero with a Thousand Faces, that author. David Foster Wallace, to have a conversation with him. Historically, I'm a fan of Winston Churchill, so I could go on for a while. Evel Knievel would be awesome.
I could see that one for sure. Yeah. Mine's like Bob Ross and Stephen King.
Really?
Yeah, I love the horror side of things, but I also like Bob Ross. I didn't have cable, so it was always Bob Ross and a squirrel in his fucking pocket painting. I loved it.
Stephen King is amazing. Have you read his book On Writing?
On Writing, yes. Yep. That thing is a beast, but I'm not like an actual I own books, but I listen best versus audiobooks. So I consume that. So I have the audiobook version of that on writing for sure. Again, tangents. Cats or dogs? I've never asked anybody this one.
Dogs.
Dogs? You got some?
I have had cats historically, but dogs. We're thinking about it now.
Yeah, we got cats over here. Too crazy of a lifestyle.
We do not own it, but we're thinking about dogs. Although we've got to, we live in on a 50-acre ranch, and we have coyotes.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, no, I've literally found dog collars with tags on them out in the field.
Okay, maybe just get an indoor bird.
No tiny dogs out here.
No tiny dog. Okay, what's your go-to art weapon of choice? That artillery.
Oh, the go-to is the paint pen, the black paint pen. Sharpie makes a black paint pen. So does I don't know the other company, but and always customized. Always never ride stock, dude. Never ride stock.
Okay. Last one before we sign off. What's the one piece of work you're most proud of and why? Or the one that you think is most dangerous that made the biggest impact?
Quickly, three things come to mind. The first thing is my first poster, which is the Dead Indians, Celebrate Columbus. Because it was just it took on a life of its own after
cops were tearing it down and
after
everything.
I made it. Oh yeah, the whole
that got
story.
your jollies off, I bet, huh?
So great. And then my first book, which was Victori or Who Died and Made You Boss. So it's a good book, and it's also a really good read. And then I'm really I put a lot of myself into this one, and I'm just like that's why I'm kind of like I'm trying not to think about it too much. I'm just going, you know what? It's done.
It's gonna hit the right people. I'm still for it.
It's written and it's gonna go out. So it's up, it's not up to me anymore.
You'll crush it. People like me are gonna be there supporting and plugging it for you. Where can people go to find you online and support you?
We are just about to open up a brand new jamesvictori.com. And what is there's so much good new stuff on there, and if they go to even the current jamesvictori.com, or they go to effectperfection.com, you can subscribe, where you'll get our newsletter that keeps you up to date and everything, but you will also get a series of free videos. And the first one is the 5 things you need to know to live a creative life. So subscribing to jamesvictori.com or effectperfection.com is a good deal. And also the new jamesvictori.com is not, the existing website is a laundry list, and people like that.
It's like the most simplest site I've ever seen.
Yeah. So I'm trying to keep this one as simple as that. And it's on, it's hosted by Wix. It's a Wix collaboration. So,
and what about your Patreon too? I know you got a big crowd of supporters over there.
If you go to Patreon, Patreon, and go to James Victore, there's Dangerous Ideas, and that's the podcast. And it's so funny because last week I was just in New York, and when I woke up Monday morning in New York ready to go kill it with interviews, my assistant texted me and said, I found another job. And so I'm like, come home to like, okay, so how do I turn a WAV into an MP3? And so that's where I am now. So yeah, they can go.
I can help you out if you need one.
Yeah, thanks. Might call you on that.
Dude, I can knock it out today.
But again, you can't stop me. It's okay. So yeah, there's a bunch of ways to get in touch with me, but they all go through jamesvictore.com.
I'll link it all up in the show notes. Man, thank you so much for your time today. That means the world to me. A little guy in Iowa able to talk with one of his heroes and just shoot the shit over things creative and helping other creatives, live their best, most creative life. That's like a dream to me. So thank you so much. I know people are going to dig the hell out of this.
Cool. Do me a favor and never refer to yourself as a little guy again.
I'm a big man in little town, Iowa. Sorry. Little town in Iowa. So
King of Iowa.
King of Iowa. I like that. I'm trying to get on that Ashton Kutcher level. So thanks so much for your time. Take it easy. Have a killer day. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Thanks.
PC family, I bring you James freaking Victore. James is the perfect guest. He's exactly the type of people I want to bring on the show to bring you value. He has this savage, no bullshit, no excuse approach that sets a fire under me. And he said one thing to me at the end of our call, and I said, thank you so much for making time to, chat with a small Iowa person like me. And he told me never refer to myself that way. And I'm like, damn, I'm never going to call myself a small town Iowa person. I'm never going to think of myself through that lens of life, okay? I'm bigger, I'm better than that, and I can be whoever the fuck I want to be, and I'm going to be that. So James, thank you for that kick in the ass. I needed that, and you know what to do. If what James said brought value to you today, blow him up on Instagram. Shower that dude with love. Let him know what your biggest takeaway from today's episode was. I mean, he battled through some pain, his physical therapy, everything. He's got such a busy life, so the fact he took the time to join us and shred it and melt our faces with value, like, we appreciate it. So go make him feel loved for being a guest today. James, thank you. I appreciate you. I can't wait to meet and kick it with you at Crop. Also, if you want to win this book, again, share it. Share the episode. Make sure you tag me and him on your Instagram stories. Super simple. And if you're the kind of person who is seeking creative community, okay, you need to be around like-minded people, then please go on Facebook right now, search The Perspective-Collective, and join my private global Facebook free community. All right, we got people every day sharing their work, providing resources, providing feedback, and collaborating all across the world. We would love to have you. I only plug it on the podcast to make sure we get the right people. Again, that's The Perspective-Collective on Facebook, and I got it down here in the YouTube description. And if you are enjoying what you hear and you want to support the growth of the show, there's two ways you can do it. First off is financially backing the show over at patreon.com/perspectivepodcast. Next is by subscribing and leaving a rating and review in Apple Podcasts or iTunes, whatever platform you're on that's easiest. Not only is it helping the show climb the charts in the arts design category, but it also puts you in a position to become a future listener of the week, which you get a shout out in a future episode, the show notes, and the newsletter, like this week's listener of the week. And this one comes from Oliver from USA, titled New Listener and Hooked. And they stay new to this podcast, but I feel like I found the podcast I've been searching for, currently digging my way out of a creative rut, and this is perfect for me to get going and achieve my goals. I really enjoy the way Scotty expresses the true nature of top designers and how down to earth he is. Big fan of Nick Slater's episode, and listening to him explain his process and aspects he is improving in his life shines a beam of hope into my life. Going back to catch up, catch me on Instagram @_sweetness. That's it, And give yourself an Instagram plug, because I will plug it here as well. Totally appreciate it. And as I sign off, I got to give a huge shout out and thank you to my executive assistant, Paige Garland, my video specialist, Colton Bachar, and finally, a big shout out to Nick Jenkins of Blookah for all the dope theme music you hear on the show. Go and support him on SoundCloud, on Instagram, and Spotify at Blookah. That's BLOOKAH. And as you finish off your week strong, I want to continue to encourage you to keep showing up. Keep putting in the work and keep creating. You got this. Thanks again for listening. It'd be awesome if you took the time to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let the comment below so we can connect. Again, if you want to catch a shout out as a future listener of the week, make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes and give it a rating and review.